What's up everybody, it's Hargobind. I want to share with you my method for writing books and ebooks because it took me 4 years to write my first book and it really didn't need to be so hard. Follow this method and you'll be able to reduce your writing time dramatically. I started out writing my first book and it was my India memoirs. And it was all my crazy stories from riding on top of buses and jumping off of buildings and getting my teeth knocked out, breaking my back, sword fighting in the streets, eating awesome Indian food and hanging outside, trains, getting pelted with rocks by little kids in the middle of Bihar. And I came to the conclusion that who cares? Because I was writing a book for me. And really, my intention was to write a book that would solve someone else's problem. And so what took me 4 years of wandering boiled down to, well, what am I really contributing? And that's what I'm going to encourage you to figure out with all of your crazy stories and epic things that you're like, can I really talk about strippers and, doing drugs and getting totally wasted? And the answer is yes, you can. That's actually what people want to hear, but they want to hear it in a way of what are they getting out of it? So the first thing I teach in book writing is, what's the problem that you solve? That becomes really the working title of your book. Then you think about, from there, what are the stories and chapters that support this lesson? I like to go with 5 or 7 or 9 basic chapters where you're gonna tell the story, which starts out at high drama, starts out very exciting, then you tell the whole story, give them a reflection of what you learned from the story, and then you move on to the next chapter. So if you think about the mothership, and then you have spokes like a wheel going out to your other chapters that you're gonna write on, that's gonna give you structure and format. So you know exactly what to write. Then on each chapter, so as I said before, it's exciting, it's a story, your reflection on what you learned from it, and then you move on to the next thing. What I find way too many people are doing is they're hiding in their book, that they're telling the story that they're a little bit vulnerable and scared to tell in the book and they're hiding. Don't hide there. Use Facebook, okay? Long form Facebook post. You take these stories, you post them onto the internet, and then you let the community tell you what they like and don't like. And everyone's like, oh, I can't tell that authentic raw story. No, you have to. You have to put your neck out there and decide that the people that you're gonna serve are more important than the people that are gonna criticize you. And then you do that by publishing on a daily, regular basis. And that will allow you to get instant feedback on your work. Because God forbid you're ever boring. If the world does not respond to your content, you're being too boring. And so you need to find out how to tell this story in a way that it can be heard and received. So you take your long form Facebook posts, publish them on the internet, and then your best ones end up in your book. And so you have your core problem that you solve, and then you just go chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, chapter 4, chapter 5, all the way to chapter 9, for example. Then you put in your conclusion, you wrap it up, and then you've got the real meat of a book. From there, it's really just logistics. Hire an editor at the end to check your spelling, hire someone to do your formatting, and hire an artist to do a front and a back cover. You get those basic concepts down, you have an ebook. If you want to actually publish it, then you go to something like Amazon KDP and you give them your book and they'll print it on demand. You don't even have to pay for it up front. It's publishing in the modern day is so much easier than it's ever been. Here's what else I got to tell you about publishing. When you die, most likely the things that will survive is your book. Your Facebook page, no. Instagram page, no. Even the people that you connected with and taught over time, they too will pass. But you know who's gonna read your book? Your kids. You know who else is gonna read it? Your grandkids and their grandkids. That if you make this contribution, you are literally gonna change the trajectory of your future generations. My mother wrote a book for me and she printed 25 copies, but I'll tell you what, Every year I go back and I read that book. It means so much to me. My daughter looked at my book and she was reading through it. She's only 8. She was flipping through it and she was like, I'm gonna read this one day. And yeah, the content is boring for an 8-year-old, but if she turns 18, she turns 20, she's gonna pick up that book and she's gonna be like, wow, I know my dad like never before. This is who he was, putting his best foot forward. That's gonna change her life for sure. It also sets the generations up to contribute to the next generations. That's the value that you want to embed into your family, that you made this contribution for these guys coming after you. Last story I want to tell is about Yoga Sutras of Patanjali. Yoga Sutras of Patanjali was written about 2,500 years ago, but it never caught fire until about the 1900s. So in the 1900s, with the boom of yoga in its sort of more modern interpretation with physical yoga asana and sort of a sequence-based, 8-step method trend that took over throughout human society, they found Yoga Sutras of Patanjali followed this self-help format, and Yoga Sutras of Patanjali exploded. So Yoga Sutras of Patanjali sat on the shelf for 2,300 years. But when we think about, oh, where did yoga come from? We think of Patanjali. But he wasn't the most popular yogi by any means until about 1900. We don't predict the future, but if you want to have high impact and you want to make a contribution, books are the way to go. And maybe you think, oh, nobody needs my message, nobody needs what I've got. But I'm telling you, a lot changes in 2,300 years. And you will feel awesome if your stuff catches in 2,300 years. So give yourself the chance to get lucky. Write your book. If you want help, I want you to come to my mastermind. I'm gonna share these lessons with you, help you be accountable, and nothing would make me more happy than you to change the positive legacy that follows us. We gotta do it. If you want to learn all my methods for attracting clients to your yoga retreats, I want you to download my free ebook, The Retreat Wizard Blizzard, which is in the description below. That's what I got for you today. I hope you'll like and subscribe, and if you'll leave a comment here, I try to respond to everything. So definitely drop me a comment down below, and I hope to keep this conversation going with you. Have an awesome, awesome day.